Good evening, guys. Dane Dewsbury and his travelling exploits here. This one's a little bit different. It's not travel. I'm going to hit home about diabetes. Now, there's a few of you out there who know I've resigned from my job in Kegworth. Prior to my resignation, my mum took a fall. She's an insulin-dependent diabetic. Now you might say, what's wrong with all that? Diabetics have a compromised immune system, which means they're more susceptible, excuse my words, to infections. They're more susceptible to things like sepsis. Lo and behold. Owing to bad self-control a little bit, and sepsis, a raging diabetic foot ulcer, which the district nursing team didn't really pay much attention to, an infection in her toes. I'm now sitting here waiting at home for my mum to come home from hospital, minus a leg just above the knee. There's a few things you've got to watch out for with sepsis because it can mimic what's known as a DKA, or diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a condition where the blood sugars are raging so high within the body and the lack of insulin produced by the body combine, whereby the body starts eating itself, literally. It's destroying itself. I've seen, God rest my dad's soul, but I must have seen about 6 of those with him. 3 counts of sepsis, and this is the first time my mum's had sepsis. Now, I used to drink energy drinks at one point, laced with sugar, I know. I used to eat junk food, still do. But here's the thing. If you know of anyone in your family who's diabetic, and if you know they're on either insulin, be it Humulin, Nova Rapid, Tresiba, or if they're on tablets, like my uncle, Metformin. I think there's another one, but I can't remember the name of it. I think my aunt in Sweden's on Metformin as well. Look after them a bit. Ask them if they're checking their blood sugars. Ask them have they had their meds. It might save some time, if in the long run. It might also save a foot, a toe, a finger, an arm, or a leg. Now, there are a few things to look out for in your friends if you're a youngster, if they've got diabetes, or if you think they've got it. Constantly falling asleep is one, constant needing to go to the toilet is another, and a constant thirst, I believe, but I could be mistaken on those. So let's fast forward a bit. Say your friend is diabetic, or your mother, father, grandfather, whatever. Make sure they have a blood test kit and glucose in the house. The kind of thing you're looking for on a blood test meter is to prick the finger. There's a small needle known as a lancet inside. Usually it's a pen, you twist it, press the button, and it pricks the finger. Squeeze off the first drop of blood, wiping it on a tissue. Place the second drop. This helps avoid contamination. Say you've handled a donut or an apple, natural fruit juices. You put the second drop, like that, onto a blood test strip. These are supplied by the NHS anyway. And the machine then reads it. You're looking for a level of 4.5 up toward 7. This is normal range for a diabetic. Whatever you do, please keep track of your friends, your family, relatives. I lost my dad through diabetes. My mum could be going the same way, but at this point in time, she's arguing for a prosthetic. I'm no saint. I smoke, I drink. Yeah, I used to gamble. I eat junk food. Alright, the iron brew down by my leg is an extra, which invariably means sugar-free. But where you read sugar-free, don't believe it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I used to work for a drinks factory. And what they do instead of putting sugar in is put things such as aspartame, which is found in Diet Coke as well. Saccharin, again found in Diet Coke, Pepsi, Pepsi Max, Iron Brew Extra, such as I'm drinking. They're artificial sweeteners, and they do more harm for the body than the natural sugars or the processed sugar you've got in your kitchen. Since we're on that subject of sugar, I've given up sugar in tea and coffee since I lost my dad. It's a small change. I'm no hero. Don't intend to be. What I intend to do with this small video, and it will be a small one, is to try and point out to you, anyone who watches this, look out for the signs of diabetes in your friends. Because you can't play football without two of these. You can't hold a phone if you've only got one or two of these. And eventually, when diabetes does take hold, you won't even be able to see your friends without these. It's a horrible disease, but it can be controlled. Mostly it's dietary. I should start doing like Kaiser does, drinking water. But I love my Lipton iced tea. I love my Iron Brews. But there might be a problem with that. I'm just wishing for my mum to come home. That's all I want. Never mind anything else like holidays or work. She's the important thing. I do not want her going the same way as my dad. Now, I've asked you to check for normal blood sugars. Anything less than a 4.5, that's a hypoglycemic attack. Get sugar into them. Lucozade, energy drinks, Mars bars, glucose tablets. Failing that, a cup of cool to warm water, 3 to 5 teaspoons of sugar stirred round, dissolved and poured down the patient's throat if possible. If the meter throws up a reading of less than 1.5 and you cannot get the patient, or person, sorry, to ingest a sugary liquid, call 999 or the emergency services wherever you are. They have something called glucogel. It will rapidly bring a person up. The other side of that is a hyperglycemic attack. A hyper is where the person's sugars are too high. Anything over 7 is considered high. And the NHS, or at least the EMAS paramedics that have dealt with my dad, consider anything over 16 to be a DKA episode. In the event of a hyper, as opposed to a hypo low, hyper high, the idea is for a hyper, you draw up the person's recommended dose of insulin. If they're on insulin, if they're on metformin, you give them the meds. You rapidly get the insulin into the body. It's not easy being a diabetic. I've seen the struggles. You walk through Tesco's or whatever supermarket you've got. You're walking down. Cold prepared meat, cold prepared fish, chicken, bread. End of an aisle. Ooh, desserts. What we got? Chocolate muffins. Go to the next aisle. What we got? Sweet and salted popcorn. Ooh, cake bars as well. The supermarkets strategically place these things not to get at diabetics, but to get at everybody. And when you see that kind of temptation, it's hard for a diabetic. It's hard even for me sometimes. Yeah, I walk through Tesco's. I want every biscuit or cookie I can find. I want every cheesecake I can find, because goddamn I love cheesecake, but... Going back to the original point though, if you have anybody in your family, circle of friends, who's diabetic, just give them a call, give them a text, look after them, see what you can do for them, see if they need any help. One day you might save a life. You don't know. It is what it is. I'm waiting for my mum to come home minus a leg. Don't let that be your family, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm out.